College football has always been at the forefront of innovation, with the most creative offensive strategies, new concepts, and styles of play starting in college football before there is a proof of concept and they get brought up to the NFL. At the forefront of all this is the spread offense. It started to take hold in the 80s and 90s, but now almost every single team in college football runs a version of the spread offense. And with the EA college football game coming this summer, I thought it would be a perfect time to show you guys how a ton of these systems can work in Madden to help you prepare for the drop of NCAA. But here's the great thing about this spread offense. There isn't just one way to play, but a ton of different variations that focus on attacking defenses in totally unique ways. So I'm going to recreate 4 of these styles of play in Madden 24, and each one of them will be getting their own in-depth breakdown video, but they're all going to be run out of the Spread Playbook. So even though they are distinct schemes, they can all be combined into one giant unstoppable offense, and I'm calling it the ultimate NCAA spread offense. Now, the first one of our offensive schemes is going to be all based around having a super athletic running quarterback at the center of our offense. Now, in college football, these tend to be one-man shows where the scheme is built around maximizing the playmaking and speed at the QB position, and he is the engine behind everything the offense does. Think Lamar Jackson in 2016 at Louisville, where he was quite possibly the most dangerous running QB of all time, or think Johnny Football in 2012, where he won the Heisman Trophy as a redshirt freshman and became one of the most famous college QBs ever. Or we have Caleb Williams, who over his past 2 years at USC won a Heisman Trophy and is about to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft, and he did this with his supreme athleticism to make plays with his legs, but also his elite arm to push the ball down the field. So for our version of this offense, we're going to be really focused on having an athletic QB at the center of the scheme. Then we're going to have an absolute ton of some of the most unique and off-meta quarterback runs that you will see anywhere in Madden, and this is just going to let us get our quarterback into space where we can rack up a ton of explosive gains. Then we are going to utilize a huge amount of unique motion plays that will let us get our playmakers on the edge of defenses with speed where they can just be super dangerous. Then off of all that, once defenses are worried about shutting down our star QB, then we can chuck it deep for explosive pickups. The next scheme will be our spread to run offense. These college schemes are all about spreading out defenses, but with the goal to actually run the ball out of these looks. These are super reliant on having speed all over the field, then taking what the defense gives you so they can never be right. And then a lot of these teams will utilize tempo and no huddle so they can keep constant pressure on defenses. The most famous example of this system is the Chip Kelly Oregon Ducks, who use their high-powered run-heavy offense to become one of the most deadly college football offenses we have ever seen. Or we have teams like West Virginia with Pat White running the system and Rich Rodriguez coaching the team. Then we have Dabo Swinney's Clemson roster in the mid to late 2010s that used a version of this scheme to win multiple national championships. So for our version of this offense, we're going to be really focused on spreading out defenses, and this is going to really simplify our reads. And if teams spread out to match us, then we can run inside for big gains, or if they collapse inside, now we can get the ball on the edge and make them pay. The other key factor is going to be having speed all over the field and using these players in creative ways to get them the ball in space. And if we do, this is going to unlock the whole scheme and make it incredibly difficult to stop. Then for the pass game, it will be a spread passing attack that really focuses on spreading the defense horizontally to get the ball out quick and then allow our receivers to get rack yardage after the catch. Then for our next offense, we have what I'm calling my spread power offense. And these college offenses had a superstar QB at the center of their scheme, but these players were big, powerful quarterbacks who could run inside and punish you or get to the edge and make plays on the outside with their legs, but then they had the arm to also make defenses pay down the field. For this, think Tim Tebow with the Florida Gators, Cam Newton with the Auburn Tigers, and Vince Young with the Texas Longhorns. All 3 of them were the centerpiece of a national championship team, and the whole offense was built around their skill set. Then Tebow and Cam were able to win the Heisman, and Vince Young was the runner-up in his best season. So for our Madden version of this scheme, it is going to be all built around the run game, especially our big-time QB, and he's going to be the X factor that'll make it super difficult to stop. We're going to have a lot more QB power type runs in this offense where we're going to be getting downhill to make defenses pay. Then formationally, we're still going to have some spread looks where we're trying to spread out defenses, but then we're also going to have formations where we're bringing in more power with multiple tight ends on the field, and this can not only make it easy to run the ball, but but then also open up the pass game down the field where we can use our QB's big time arm to make huge throws deep down the field. Then for our fourth offensive scheme, we're going to be looking at the air raid offense. Now, this has really become the backbone of passing the ball in college football over the past 15 years. It is a spread you out and throw it all over the yard offense that is reliant on stretching teams vertically and horizontally with 5 players out on routes so the QB can just pick you apart. And this has led to some of the most explosive offenses college football has ever seen. For these offenses, think Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, where he first broke onto the scene, or Lincoln Riley's Heisman Factory offense with his run of elite quarterbacks at Oklahoma and now at USC with Caleb, or a team that wasn't a strict air raid but took a ton of their principles and applied it to their offense, and it allowed them to be debatably the best college football offense we have ever seen with the 2019 LSU Tigers national championship team. So now for our air raid Madden offense, we're going to be throwing the ball early and often. You want to dial up passes and attack through the air to just rack up points and touchdowns at a crazy rate. Then a huge component of the scheme is spreading out defenses. We want to make sure we're forcing the D to spread out to match our alignment, and this really simplifies the looks defenses can give us and makes it much easier to find the openings down the field for us to attack. Then if the defense starts to really overplay to stop the pass game, this is where we can mix in the runs to keep them honest. Then if you want a head start on this scheme, I have my first offense up right now on my site, Scheme Kings. It is a total of 9 plays at a gun bunch and gun tray open offset, and this is going to give you a great starting point with this spread offense. I tried to incorporate a ton of the elements we will see through this scheme, like read options and QB runs, motion bubble plays to get our players out on the edge where they can make plays in space, then some vertical pass shots so you can really get explosive and take the top off defenses. Then there are going to be a ton more videos coming up for this NCAA spread offense that are only going to be found on the site. Then also on the site, you can find my 5 other full schemes that are out so far for Madden 24 with my Ravens attacking defense, my NFL spread offensive scheme, my Georgia Bulldogs match-based D, plus my wide zone offense and my NFL Mount Rushmore scheme. Then you can also get access to my playbooks on Scheme Kings, which are full written breakdowns for my schemes. I believe between Madden 23 and Madden 24, I have about 11 out so far, with my newest being my Ravens attacking defense that is 44 pages long, and it is going to make it so much easier to run each one of my schemes and make them that much more effective. Then starting today, we have a sale on the site. Use code SPREAD at checkout for 50% off your first month. This sale is going to run till May 12th. So if you want to check out Scheme Kings, I will leave a link for it down in the description below. Now to get into the personnel you will use for this offense. Now each scheme we release will be unique and have some different elements, but for the most part, the players we will use will overlap through each one of the 4 offenses, so you want to target the players that fit into these roles. So the most important position to nail down for this scheme is going to be your QB. We want a mobile quarterback with great speed, and that is really going to be key in all 4 of the offenses we are running. Now each scheme is going to ask slightly different things from the QB position, and you can always get one really built specifically for that offense. But if you want a QB that will be usable for all 4 at the same time, speed and then the ability to have a big arm to push the ball deep down the field are going to be the 2 main factors to target. The 2 QBs that really perfectly encapsulate how we want our quarterback to play are Lamar Jackson at Louisville, who is as dynamic of a quarterback as college football has ever seen, and then also Cam Newton, who brought that same playmaking to the position, but then brought a ton of size and physicality to playing quarterback. So in this spot, I'm using the Anthony Richardson Combine Mutt card, and he is a great for this offense, and he can do all the things we need from our QB. Then for abilities on him, I have set feet lead, which gives us way more velocity on our passes and can allow us to fit the ball into tight windows. Then I'm also using hot route master, which gives us access to 4 more unique hot routes for each player on the field, and this can just let us be much more creative on offense. But you will not need this ability to run this scheme, but it can just help for certain plays. Then for the running back position in this offense, we want a super fast and athletic weapon. Jefferson, we are really aiming for a home run hitter who can get to the open field and make plays with the ball in his hands. We will be using him a ton on swing and bubble type plays where he will hit the edge, so he needs to have really good hands and then breakaway speed to take it to the house when given a chance. The standouts in this role for offense is we are basing our spread scheme around our players like Travis Etienne at Clemson, who is an incredible do-it-all back, could run out of the backfield, but also is a super dangerous receiver, or LaMichael James, who is the engine behind the incredible record-breaking Oregon Ducks offense. So at my running back spot in this scheme, I'm using Christian McCaffrey's Team of the Year card, and he is really just that perfect do-it-all back. For our number one wide receiver, we want an outside the numbers big time playmaker we can use to push the ball down the field and create big plays. We're focused on big time speed and deep play capability, and he just needs to be able to get in behind defenses and take the top off. But he also needs to be able to win with his route running and make tough catches over the middle of the field. Now, the receiver we're basing this role off of is Jamar Chase when he was at LSU in their air raid inspired offense, where he was an incredible deep threat who could really make defenses pay down the field at an incredible rate, but he was also physical enough to play big over the middle, and this made him the complete package at wideout for LSU. Now in this spot, I'm using Justin Jefferson, and the majority of the time he will be playing on the outside for me. For our second wide receiver, we're focusing on an all-around playmaker who has the speed to get down the field and make big plays, but we also want this player to be a technician who can use his route running to beat man coverage, and he really needs to be that kind of chest piece player that we can use in a ton of different roles. The player who really comes to mind when thinking of this spot in college was CeeDee Lamb during his time at Oklahoma, who is a dynamic weapon who could win at each level of the field, whether that was taking the ball deep, tough catches over the middle, or even screen passes on short plays where he could show off his rack capabilities. And at this spot, I'm using the Team of the Year CeeDee Lamb card, and for this role, he will be usually lined up in the outside in our formations. Now, for both our outside receivers with Lamb and Jefferson, I am using Route Tech. This is an amazing ability that lets these players get open versus man coverage on a ton of routes in the intermediate areas of the field like corner routes, or deep down the field with posts to take the top off defenses. For our number 3 receiver, we have our slot or gadget player, and this position is built all around speed and his ability to make people miss and be an absolutely deadly weapon with the ball in his hand, and we want him to have the ability to score from any area of the field. We'll be using him a ton on jet sweeps and bubble screens, and we want to get him into the open field where he can be dangerous as much as possible. The receivers we're going to be basing this role off of are Percy Harvin during his time at the Gators, or Tavon Austin when he was at West Virginia. These were two of the most dynamic receivers in college football history. They were insanely explosive, and their offenses just wanted to scheme them the ball in space as much as possible, and incredible things would happen. So for our slot receiver, I'm using the Tyreek Hill Team of the Year card, and he is the perfect fit for this scheme, and he will be lining up in the slot most of the time. Then I also am running short in elite on him, and this can just ensure we get more separation from man coverage and can help us make some big plays down the field. Now here's a look at my full lineup I use for this offense, and then here are the abilities, and you can pause it if you want to take a closer look at either one of these screens. Now once you get your full hands on this scheme, you are going to be unstoppable. But then remember, there's the first offense up for this scheme on Scheme Kings right now, so you can get just a head start with this whole spread offense. But then to be a complete Madden player, you need to also get stops on defense. So to start dominating on that side of the ball, you need to check out my new Ravens attacking blitz-based defensive scheme, and you can watch that right here.